Hey, good morning, friends. So this is just an update of everything that's been happening in the last God knows how long, because time doesn't even fucking make sense anymore. Things are getting cray-cray. But seriously, there's been a lot going on. I know a lot of people feel this. And so yeah, I mean, where to start, right? Like, for those that know me, my wife and I have traditionally not had the bestest of relationships. She's an amazing woman, don't get me wrong. We spark, interestingly. We're not to each other. It's weird. We're both great people to everyone else on the planet, but man, to each other, it's like gloves come off in the ring. So, after 18 years of that, we were like, we should go be happy. So, and it's fascinating that you can understand that. You can understand that. And yes, I drive with no hands. My legs are driving anyway. It's fascinating that you can understand that, except I got to turn now, from an intellectual standpoint. And then it still be this very difficult thing for you to go through. Like, we both, it hurts to see the other person, maybe going out and having fun or having a love interest in someone else. And again, even though it's kind of like, you shake hands, you're like, hey, good game. All right, I'll see you later. This is best for both of us, and this is a mutual agreement. It's like, wow, hey, what are you doing? What do you mean? So, that's been fascinating, and that's been really hard to let go of for both of us. We both find ourselves every now and then just, getting upset, like, oh, well, you did what? But before we physically separated, right? So we were living, we had agreed to, file for divorce. She went down to the courthouse and filed, and then I continued living in the house for a while, which apparently this is like 100% statistic. If two people separate and then remain together in the same physical location, it's just not good. Apparently there's no question. There's no like outlier to that statistic. I don't know. Maybe there is. Somebody be like, actually, Aaron. Anyway. And so that didn't go too well. And it got to a point where, for whatever reason, we were both trying to live our lives. I was hurting a bit more than maybe I should have. That guy's talking into his watch. Random anecdote. But I got drunk. I got extremely drunk one night. I went and got a bottle of vodka, and I don't really drink. If I ever get, upset or uppity or, any of that shit, I just take a hit of marijuana and relax. Maybe go play a game, write something up. But this particular night, hey, buddy, he just ran a red light. This particular night, I decided to, for whatever fucking reason, go get a bottle of vodka. And I was like, well, I'll take a couple drinks. And those, one of those couple, there were two I remember taking, was like a swig of, 2 or 3 shots. Hadn't really eaten. So I take a couple drinks, 2 drinks, and that was it. The lights went out. I don't remember anything that happened after that until, memory comes back around 1 in the morning, where apparently I'm like trying to have a shootout with the cops. And so in this time, after the lights had gone out, I had apparently consumed the rest of the entire bottle of vodka, the entire fucking bottle. I'd found some oxy pills, and then I took some of those, and I was ready to check out of this planet. And so there were a few hours of me puking, projectile vomiting. I apparently popped back up after this with my firearm now in tow, and I was on my porch yelling at God for leaving me on this planet. And it was rough. well, obviously, and I'm sure, this didn't, it's probably very interesting to see. This is probably very interesting to see from, my wife's perspective. And, for me, it's, I like the term, so anyway, I get picked up. She calls the cops, which, thank God for the way all of this worked out. Somehow they, they didn't want to shoot out either. So they get me on the phone, and I kind of come to at some point in this conversation. I remember at some point I'm like now on the phone with the cops, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he says, hey man, I need you to come outside and put your gun on the ground. And I'm like, what do you mean? What gun? What the fuck? And no shit, I have a gun in my pants. I'm like, holy fuck. Dude, I don't even know how I got this gun. So now I'm starting to wake up. I mean, it felt like, it was weird. It almost felt like I was possessed, because I have no memory of the time after I took those couple shots to, the time now that the cops are telling me I need to come outside and put my gun on the ground. I have no memory of it. And it's the things I was told I was doing, they don't make a whole lot of sense. And anyone who knows me would probably agree that's not a normal errand. And so it was rough. So I got, there's a whole lot more details there, which perhaps another video or another podcast or whatever the fuck this is going to be. But I end up put in a drunk tank. The gal and I'm pissed. I'm like, oh damn it, I need to go home. Why are you guys oppressing me? And I was so mad. But it was a very good thing that I got picked up. So they pick me up, take me to the hospital. I'm in a room. The scout comes in. They take my blood alcohol, and it was 0.16. No lines. I got to go to the dump today, so I also got to stop this shit to empty my truck. But I go to the hospital, and the lady says I'm an alcoholic bipolar, undiagnosed. And I was like, what? You crazy? I'm none of those things. Alright, I gotta pause this. Alright, so I just finished up at the dump. So part 2 of this update or whatever. And I don't really remember where I was at, so anywho. Well, yes I do. Gal at the hospital. So she diagnoses me as a undiagnosed bipolar alcoholic. I don't know. And I'm placed on a 72-hour hold because of what just happened. And they send me to they're going to send me to Denver Springs Heroes Meadows unit. So it's for veterans. I don't have any health insurance, but because of my disability rating with the VA, all of my emergencies, and if I walk into an ER, the VA pays for it. So I was a little upset that I don't get to go home. I'm like, hey, I'm sober, I'm fine. I realize I got a little drunk, got a little crazy, haha, let me go. And so this is interesting. This will set the stage a little bit. Maybe I should say this beforehand, but I remember Thursday, I just gotten home I went to Washington. I have a client that owns a home out there. I do a lot of their IT support, all of their IT support, and they had flown me out to Washington to upgrade their network, install Starlink on their home. And so I just got back from that, and I was kind of at a loss with where I wanted to go with my life. And I know I want to help people. I know I want to, quote unquote coach, even though I know that's not the best term for it. But I was not sure how to proceed, right? And, there's a lot of stressors in the whole divorce, the lawyers, the money, the this, the that, the things, there's a lot going on. So I kind of fell apart Thursday before all this happens, and I was on my knees just kind of crying and, you know, begging, praying to God, like, please show me what I'm supposed to be doing. Show me who I'm supposed to be helping. Show me, you know, and I was like, man, I wish I could go somewhere where nobody could get a hold of me. And I was like fervently like praying about this. And so anyway, I get on, cops picked me up at about 1 a.m. on Friday. Take me to the hospital. Around 6 p.m. Friday, no, it was way later than that, 6, 7, 8. And mind you, I'm awake. I have not slept at all because of the alcohol. I was so fucking drunk. I didn't sleep, so I'm very tired. And everyone's asked me my story like 65 times. So I get down to Denver Meadows, or Denver Springs, the Heroes Meadows unit. And, you know, now this gal is like, here's a stack of paperwork I need you to fill out. And why don't you tell me what you're here for? And so she said, you know, here's a stack of papers I'm going to take off, or I'm going to go, you know, do something up front. You know, it's like, hey, go sit in this room, wait, go sit in that room, wait, go over here, wait, go over here, wait. There's a lot of this, and I'm trying to, you know, keep my patience, keep my bearings, just like not get upset. I put myself here, you know, this is, okay, well, let's relax. So anyhow, this gal hands me a stack of paperwork, and I think I filled out like a page and a half. Okay, and of course every page is like name, email, address, phone number, dietary restrictions, favorite color, you know, hair length, like just all this shit, like over and over and over again. So I filled out part of the first page, and then I put my name on the second page, and I was like, nope, no more. I put the stack of papers down. I just sat there, and so this gal comes in, you know, hey, welcome to Denver Meadow Springs. Did you get done with your paperwork? I said, I'm not filling that out. Like, we can come back to it, but I'm not doing that right now. Like, I've been awake for 24 hours now. I want a bed. Like, if I can't leave, like, give me a fucking bed. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being very, like, her. It's not a good situation to be in. Not a pleasant one, at least. So she asked me my story. I kind of give her a rundown of what brought me there, my history with healing, PTSD, and all that shit. So I give her kind of the Cliff Notes version. She's like, man, I think you're going to fit in great here. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to fit in. I want to go home. Like, what the fuck? She says, well, you'll be here a couple days. I said, so they get me back in the unit, get me some clothes. I'm wearing like the hospital scrubs, paper ones. Oh my God, in the hospital, I was in paper scrubs in this freezing ass room for so long. Anyway, oh man, that's a good idea. Sorry, I just had a thought go through my head. I gotta write that shit down. Anyway, I get to the unit, and I was still kind of mad, right? I'm, you know, stuck in this place. I can't leave. And you know, it's like I'm legally being held here now. And so, you know, it's Friday night. We're going into the weekend. There's no doctors around. There's no, you know, anyone who can, you know, make the decisions or whatever it is. And so Saturday, now I'm like first day in this new unit. There's kind of this routine where, now, I have mixed feelings about Denver Springs rehab center. Like, the rehab center itself, fantastic. Okay, you know, the staff. Oh man, the staff are fucking cool as hell. The facility, it's really nice. Now every place has its challenges, so it was interesting. I'll preface that, or I'll start with, you know, Saturday it got to the point where I figure out I'm not getting out of here. My 72-hour hold doesn't expire until, you know, Monday morning at 1 a.m. And so they're very clear that I won't be leaving before then, right? And I may not leave at that time. So this is where kind of the interesting feedback comes in. So it came to this point where I had recognized that I could sit here and throw a fit. Like, oh, you motherfuckers, let me out. I'm not drunk. I didn't do anything wrong, or, complain or whatever it may have been. Or said, man, how many people, because now I'm in a veterans unit. This is all military, active duty veterans who, a lot of them were dealing with alcohol. Some of them had PTSD. There were some females there who had experienced some sexual trauma. And it's interesting because this is typically the demographic, so to speak, or psychographic that I find myself approached by when, anytime I'm out and about, or, someone needs a different perspective or is struggling. This is kind of that psychographic, so to speak, that I find myself being approached by, or that's the person I used to be, right? And we are most effective at healing the people we used to be. Not the sexual trauma, but it is interesting how many folks I'm able to help with that. And so it became a game for me. Like, how many people can I help, right? How many people, how many smiles can I put on faces, right? I'm stuck here. There's no value in me, throwing a fit or whatever it may be. So how many people can I help? And, yeah, it just, so I made friends with the staff. I made friends with, anyone I could. I was trying to be, my bubbly self. If anyone's interacted with me out in a social setting, when I was in a, normal or great mood, that's the Aaron I try to bring to the table. So I'm not always funny with my jokes because sometimes I piss people off. But, wow, that guy, whew, is not paying attention to the road. So yeah, it became a game. And I just tried to, go up to people like, hey, what are you in for? So, just make a joke of it. And I said some things in therapy I said it. There were some folks that shared their story, and I gave some feedback. And it was interesting because I totally fucked up. This one gal shared this very, very personal story. And I was trying to express to her what I was trying to express and what I said were two very fucking different things. And I totally said something when I tried to give feedback, like, oh man, that is, thank you so much for sharing your story. That was powerful. It fumbled. So the words that actually came out started a fire. And so there were a few gals there that did not like me that first couple minutes. But, I was able to, like, hey, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. These were the words I was trying to. I had to fucking, eat my whole shoe. That's an expression for I was embarrassed as fuck in my words. I don't know. I had to eat my own words. Anyway. So after that, I went back and apologized. But, so, come Monday, I don't know what part in the story now I was even thinking I should be at, but come Monday, I'm now anxious to go home. And Saturday, the doctors, this is the interesting feedback. They said, your hold expires on Monday morning, but if you want to leave, they'll keep you here. So what do you mean? If my hold expires, and it's totally my choice on what I get to do, right? These freedom, so to speak, that I fought for. How can you keep me? Just don't try and get out of here, otherwise they'll certify you. They'll tell the state you're crazy, throw you before a judge. So just sign a paper that says you're going to stay here of your own free will. We'll keep you a couple more days, and then you can go. I'm like, bro, that doesn't, there's a whole lot wrong with that. You can't just force someone or threaten someone that if they don't volunteer to stay at your place, that you're gonna force them to, right? That's illegal. Anyway, come to find out, the bill that y'all paid for my stay here at this place. Because again, the United States government covers 100% all of my medical expenses in an emergency situation. So it was $6,000. What I heard, this could be wrong, $6,000 every day I was there, they were billing the government, right? So there's a motivator to be like, hey, I'd like to keep you here for a couple extra days. Just make sure you're okay. I mean, that's $6,000 of guaranteed income, right? So that's quite interesting. So Monday rolls around, the head dude, he approaches me. Oh my God. I shouldn't say names, but this was kind of comical. Because, so this guy pulls me in a room, nice, of course, dressed up, nice tight pink shirt, with the hey buddy, how's it going? Hey champ, hey sport. I was like, hey bro, great facility you got going here. Like what you're doing, love the work. And I realized that the circumstances that brought me in here are very questionable as far as it relates to, someone's ability to handle themselves. But gosh, I've made it 38 years in my life without doing some shit like that. And on this night that I did some shit like that, I had consumed an entire bottle of vodka. So I think it might be fair to say that I probably don't need to be observed. I just need to never fucking touch alcohol again. Seems fair in my mind. He's like, ooh, pal, buddy, sport champ. I don't know, man. There's a gun involved. No, I know. I have guns. I'm a Marine. I have lots of weapons. I have axes. I have throwing knives. But they all stay in their respective places. Don't ever come out. Again, looks bad. Whew. But this has never happened. So anyway, I've got a life that's going crazy right now, and I need to get back to it. So my hold expired last night, and I'd like to leave. And he says, well, we need time to evaluate you. So, well, what's the last 72 hours been for? Well, it was a weekend, and we just look, pal. And so he says to me, your hold is expired, but we'd like you to stay. And so you can sign something that says you're going to stay of your own free will and let us finish our job. Or we can certify you, and we can just have the state keep you here. Right? Which that goes on your record, and, it goes on, you'll have to, oh, man. Well, that sucks. I totally just missed my exit because it's like a mile before now. That's cool. So anyway, I said, so basically you're telling me I have to sign this or I'm going to get certified, right? And he's like, well, we'd like to do our job. Will you let us do that? Kind of every conversation is a chess game. You can see how he was positioning his pieces. He's not saying outright, if you don't sign this, we're keeping you here. He's saying, if you don't sign this, we're keeping you here. So anyway, so I said, yep, I get it. I'll sign it. I'll let you guys do your job. Sounds like you know what's going on. And so he walks out. I'm like, very upset. Very upset. I was very upset. So I do my little breathing meditation. I didn't go back to group therapy. I just went into the room and kind of like. So after that, this other guy, Chad, he was a Chad too. He says, he's now my regular therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist. There is a difference in all of those terms. I couldn't tell you. I think he was a psychiatrist. But anyway, regardless, he now calls me over. It's like 4 o'clock on Monday. He says, hey, Aaron, let me talk to you. We want to talk about your treatment. So now I give him the whole spiel. Look, bro, I help people with PTSD. I've been in the system for 15 years. I have fought all these fucking demons. It's kind of weird that I find myself in these circumstances. I get that. But again, this has never happened. So if you would kindly let me go home. I am actually interested in helping y'all in your little clubhouse you got going on here. Right? I didn't put it in those words, but I was like, dude, I want to get involved in kind of what you're doing. Or I've been taking notes on, I had like a little notepad and I was like writing down all the shit they did. Because it was cool. Some of the therapy, the way they structured their day, the way they structured, the way they rotated out therapy sessions, I found a lot of value in. There's a lot of things that, I personally would change, but again, tomato, or rose by any other name, I really liked what they were doing there. And again, despite, kind of the interesting verbal conflicts I had with very few, one, maybe two of the staff, I fucking love that place. It was nice. And the food was like way better than any hospital food I've ever had. Anyway, so thank you. So I'm talking to Chad, and I made him blush. There's a spot. He's like, all right, here's the rules you got to abide by, yada yada. So this is like day 4. I'm in this place, and they're like, all right, here's the rules. So I'm looking over the rules, and it says I can't have sex with my therapist. And so very loudly I said, oh, Chad, we can't have sex. And he got so red. And he's like, no, we can't have sex. I was like, bro, it's a joke. So, I drive like this on the highway. So, now he starts asking me about hey, we want to start talking about some of these emotional disorders, start talking about this bipolar. And by this time I had already, because again, this gal from the hospital had written so many things down about, the issues that I was facing. And one of them, she said I was an alcoholic. So now this place, Denver Springs, of course, if someone comes in, they're going to say, I'm not an alcoholic. And whoops, my camera's being affected by these bumps. So they're going to try and treat you with alcoholism. And on this first night, right, they'd come into my room every 4 hours and be like, hey, let's check your vitals. Let's see if your withdrawal symptoms are bad, or, whatever it may be. Bro, I don't have withdrawal symptoms. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink, right? I don't, that's what got me here, is the fact that I don't fucking drink. And I did all the drinks at once. And so, they'd come in, check, make sure your hands were shaking and shit like that. And so, but anyway, by the time I get to Chad, he hasn't had the time. Now, to be fair, he hasn't had the time to sit there and, talk to every single person on the staff and find out what's going on. He's got some notes, but maybe he hasn't really reviewed them. And he's starting to look at them now as I'm sitting in front of him. But I make it very clear, bro, I don't have these issues that this person kind of diagnosed me with or said I need help with. I get that was a very stressful situation. And if you were to take a look at the circumstances in my life and kind of what's going on, it makes sense that I was a little stressed out. And adding alcohol into that mix didn't help at all. They said, furthermore, I'm being threatened that if I don't stay here willingly, y'all are going to certify me. That's fucking coercion. That's illegal. And he's like, now his fingertips start to move very fast, right? There's nervousness coming through. And he says, I don't think anyone said that. I said, someone had said exactly those words. And I repeated verbatim what Rob had said to me. Well, there goes the name. So, and now he's like, look, and I said, hey, look, I understand you guys need to make sure you have, there's an onus of liability, right? So, if I am legitimately crazy and then you just don't do your job and trying to figure out if I'm safe to go home, let me go home and then I go do something terrible, you could have stopped that, right? I get that. Absolutely. Take whatever time you need to determine whether or not that I'm some loony guy, right? But I said, I'm curious if you've talked to any of the staff, right? All the staff that have been with me all weekend, and we've had a great time. Have you talked to your staff or patients and asked them, obviously you can't talk to the patients, what they thought about, maybe my mental state? Have you contacted my wife? Has anyone reached out to her to see, because, now my wife, soon to be ex, whatever, Brittany is also trying to petition them, to be like, hey, this isn't Aaron. This isn't normal. He was fucking drunk, and I've never seen this guy. Well, I can't say never. That happened 3 years ago. Not to that extent, though. but she knows, like, this is not Aaron, you know, that was alcohol induced. I said, has anyone contacted her? He said, no. I said, so you're 72 hours, you had 72 hours legally to evaluate me and, you know, make a determination on whether or not I need to stay. And he's like, well, yeah, you know, it's hard because the weekend and the doctor's out, the sicknesses. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, when do most of your patients come in? And I don't think he realized what I was asking or why I was asking that, but very excitedly, he's like, oh gosh, Friday, man, Friday. Well, there's so many people coming in Friday. Interesting. So it almost sounds like you should probably staff better to be able to evaluate everyone that's coming in on a 72-hour hold on Friday to make sure that you can process everyone and be like, okay, these people are crazy or these people are not. But, I mean, if the government's footing the bill, maybe there's not that much of a motivation to do that. Now the finger tip starts going really fast. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to call your wife. I'm going to talk to the staff. I'm going to give these 5 guys a call, and I'm going to get back to you tonight. I really appreciate that, Chad. Like, I think you and I could be friends. It's interesting we find ourselves across the table from each other in this very specific scenario, but I really like Chad. So then fast forward, right? Fast forward to, I go sit down, and now I'm like kind of upset. I'm a little bit heated, but at the same time, I'm, you know, just because I want to go home. I want to get out of this place. Which I'm glad again, everything comes back full circle. So I'm very glad I was there. At the end of this, I was very happy to have been a patient there. Because again, I turned it into a game for myself of how many people could I help. Like, if I'm here, if I'm stuck here, if I'm forced to be here, how many people can I brighten up? How many people can I change their perspective or help them with, you know, wherever they find themselves, and maybe I was there at one point in my life, how do I help them just get to that next step? Even if it's just, you know, one single step, how do I help that person? So, anyway, I go sit down, and somebody was like, hey, I was talking to Izzy does it. That guy's cool as fuck. So I was talking to one of the dudes there, and he's like, bro, you ain't hearing back tonight. Like, nobody ever hears anything after, you know, a certain time. And then sure as shit, like, they, you know, by something I said got them very motivated to get me an answer. And very interestingly, one of the nurses shouted out at like 8 o'clock. She's like, over the phone, hey, Aaron, you're going home tonight. Okay. Like, that's, you know, I was like, bro, they usually announce people going home like that? No. Well, come to find out, I don't know why she necessarily did that. They were probably watching on the cameras, like, let's see his reaction. Well, it was originally slated that they were going to keep me until that Friday. And then on that Monday night, after, you know, my multiple conversations with these folks, that's when they'd come back and said, you know, okay, well, they'll let me out on Tuesday. So I make arrangements with Brittany. She helped me out a lot. Oh my God. And the worst part about all of this is it sucks how much Brittany and I have hurt each other and how much we, like, actually love each other. Right? Because, I don't know. I know a lot of you who know me, a lot of you on here that know me, well, you can sit there and say that, or you know some of the bad parts of our relationship. You know, like the things that I may have shared with my close friends that, you know, Brittany does when she's being human. I'm not going to say she's being an asshole because I do the same fucking shit. I'm an asshole too. Like, holy crap, it is crazy how we hurt the ones that are closest to us. And so, but at the same time, through all of this hurt, both of us have been like, you know, it's like we'll get in a knife fight and then we'll start like patching each other up. Like, oh shit, hold on, you're bleeding right here. And then there's a lot of people I know. I'm going to take my seatbelt off. I'm driving with no hands and I'm taking my sweatshirt off. Anyway, there's a lot of people I know that would that they're like, oh gosh, well, anyone in the right mind is like, yo, that is a toxic ass relationship. Maybe. Is it though? Because how apropos. Sorry, just seeing omens in the sky. If you've ever sharpened a knife or any blade, it's not a soft process. It's not a nice process. And I know we like that chic sound, but that chic sound is the metal being scraped across a stone. Okay? So to get a knife edge sharper, you are scraping it on stone. You're like smearing it. That process doesn't feel good. Like if you were the knife and you had feelings, it's not going to feel good, right? And it's interesting how, thinking back with Brittany and I on our relationship, and this applies to both of us. Like both of us are such stronger people now because we've just been sharpening ourselves against each other, right? Her rough edges have sharpened me. My rough edges have sharpened her. There are things that we have learned about ourselves through our interactions, both good and bad, that, it gets to this point where, I don't know, I used to be very angry at her. Oh my God, how could you do this to me? And I'm sure, and I know she has felt very similarly, and the things that I've done. As many of you know, I'm very open. Red light. Very open about this. I have cheated on her for many years in the start of our relationship, and I never got caught. Nobody fucking ever caught me. And I totally could have gotten away with it. I fucking could have gotten away with it and nobody ever would have found out. And then years after the fact, like the guilt was eating me so much, I was like, yo, hey, I gotta tell you something. And I didn't even have the fucking balls to tell her to her face. Like I wrote her a fucking letter and went to work one day. And then she called me and she's like, does this say what I think it says? And I was just like, yep. Like, dude, I was a fucking coward. Shit. So, like we all put each other through hurt, but that hurt has made us sharper. It's made us stronger. I can promise you, she ain't accepting oh man, this diesel just did a U-turn and is now in front of me. I'll have to gun it after this light. Here we go. I don't know, I used to think very poorly, but now it's like I am so very glad that she was my partner. I tell a lot of people this. Like if I would have, let's say out of, when I got back from the Marines, I was actually engaged to this girl named Ashley. And Ashley was, oh wow, sorry, that was a personal realization. I was engaged to this girl named Ashley, and man, she was like, probably would have been the perfect woman. She wanted to have kids. She liked to cook, clean, did anything I said, always supported me. It was like the perfect nuclear family kind of housewife, okay? Now imagine if the douchebag version of Aaron, or any of you, would have gotten exactly what you wanted when you first started out in life. You thinking about this? Because a lot of us are like, oh man, I didn't like the cards I was dealt. Made you a better poker player, didn't it? I know for a fact, had I had I gotten my, quote unquote perfect woman at a young age, I never would have grown. I never would have grown. And I'd be a fucking douchebag. And I never would have learned to love myself. Well, and that's the biggest problem, right? Is I didn't love myself. And if you don't love yourself, like you can't have a good relationship. You will never have a good relationship with anything or anyone if you feel like the value of you is determined by that thing or person. Right? You can't. Because then all it becomes is you trying to maintain the fact that you're acquiring this other thing or person to fill your cup, so to speak. And that's frivolous. I'm failing to find a term that accurately describes that in a cliche kind of way, but it's just fucking dumb. You can't do it. You have to love yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, that was a good one. So, wow, these two cars are racing. I don't, one guy doesn't want to get out of the fast lane. So the other guy gets into the slow lane to go around. So the guy in the fast lane's like, well, I won't be outdone. It's like, well, why wouldn't you just get out of the fast lane? Get out of the way. Ego. There's that ego inside of us. Wow. That's a pretty good example of it right there. Sorry, I forgot where I was. Forgot where I was going. On the last night I was at the center, this Denver Springs place. And this is how I know I was supposed to be there. My roommate, when he got in, like most of us, you're not proud of why you're there. It's kind of like everyone comes in with a scarlet A, so to speak, which unfortunately less and less people know that reference, but this badge of shame, okay? So everyone comes in with a badge of shame, quote unquote. I think it's dumb that I think that's silly. That concept is silly, but when you walk in, it doesn't feel, you're not like, hey everyone, yeah, woo, look where I am. Because you had to do something crazy to kind of get there. So he didn't really like to talk to anyone. I think he was in a bad place mentally and was pretty ready to punch his own ticket. And being in this place, it doesn't really help that feeling. It doesn't help that feeling at all. And now you're removed from your life, you're removed from your loved ones, and it's like you just get to sit there and think. And if you sit there and think about all the bad, then that's what's gonna grow and manifest in your mind. And if you think about all the good, obviously that can also grow and manifest in your mind. But his first couple days, he was definitely kind of looking at the down spiral of that. And I just, it sucked because I've been there. I've been that guy, and it fucking sucks. It hurts. It's lonely. It's shitty. So I fucking kept at it, man. I'd sit next to him at lunch, try and chat him up. Or, I just kind of talked to him a few times. I was trying to, I knew I was getting annoying. So I was trying to be annoying without being, super annoying. But anyway, on my last night in the unit, he was also my roommate. We talked till 2:30, 3 in the morning. And it was really cool because after that, in that conversation, he was kind of excited about going home. And I'm not even going to pause this. I'm just going to order Dairy Queen. Fuck it. We're doing it live. And I sure hope this place is open. I don't even know if they're open. Probably not even open. It's 9:30 on a Saturday. Oh man, they don't open till 11. Shoot. I'll just wave to everybody already there doing work. So, yeah, last night we stayed up talking just everything under the sun. God, coincidence, numbers, patterns, experiences in life. And by the end of it, I mean, he was excited that he was there. You know, it was so fascinating because, and even me, like, it was like, dude, this is why I was here. Like, this is why I had to come here, you know, and we both had that kind of feeling. Like, we were there to have that conversation with each other. And so, you know, for me, it was like, oh my God, that was so personally rewarding that, you know, I got to, well, it sucked. It was not like fun in the way I wound up there. Again, that was shitty. But the fact that I got to help people, I felt like I was able to at least help, you know, one or two. I like to think I help more, but who the fuck knows? I might be, you know, the most hated man there because I got bad jokes. But so, I don't know, that was really cool. It was like I could leave there and just be like, dude, thank you for showing me. Like, I was grateful to God for having been there. All right, I'm going to order Good Times. And I wonder if any of the employees will realize that I'm recording for, I don't even know what the fuck this is, but
Hi, welcome to Good Times. Take your time and order when you're ready, please.
hey, good morning. Good morning. Can I get a bacon breakfast burrito combo, please?
All right, what particular combo?
Could I get a Mountain Dew, and could I have the shoot, I just saw them. They were like the green chili wild spud things. I know I'm butchering that name.
Sorry?
For the side, you guys have a, sorry, your menu's rotating. I don't know what it is, but it's like a wild spud. Yeah, green chili potato poppers.
Oh, we don't serve that so much.
Touche. I guess I'll just take some wild spuds then.
All right. Anything else?
That'll be it.
This one comes out to
Thank you. Damn it! Well, they look good, but I can't get the potato green chili popper something to lunch.
It's going to be $7.69.
Morning.
Thank you. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks, how's it going? That guy seriously looked like he was a kung fu master, and just like there's some shit about to pop off at this Good Times, and he's gonna save the day. Dude was jacked. Fuck. Spud sauce. So it's interesting. I use this example a lot where, you know, in talking with all of my friends who know me, you know, when we look at like all the bad things that happen in our lives, we're like, oh man, that sucks. And it might. I'm not saying it doesn't. It sucked kind of how I ended up in Denver Springs. But forest fires suck too. But what we don't realize is after a forest fire, the forest comes back stronger. And in Yellowstone National Park, unless shit gets like absolutely nuts, they don't fight forest fires because they know it's a natural process. It's good for the forest to burn down every now and then. And sometimes our life burns down every now and then. And instead of being like, oh, yay, here come, you know, the renewing forces of life, we're like, oh, no, I lost my Xbox 360. Stuff is so terrible. Dude, I am seriously turning with my knees. Trying to eat these wild spuds. So yeah. I don't know the point of all that. Oh yeah. The Aaron update. But so after that, me and Britt had a long conversation. And I mean, it came down to, like, again, we realized neither one of us are bad people, but we are fucking assholes to each other. And it's probably a good idea if we just, the guy finally stopped living in the house, got out of the house, which so many people I talked to during this process were like, oh, God, yeah, that's 100%. Two people separated, like, it's not going to go well. And then, of course, it's like one of those things where somebody tells you and you're like, yeah, I mean, now that you say it out loud, I feel kind of dumb for not knowing that. So it sucks. Because, again, we both love each other. We want the best for each other. And it's hard to not be the person that's still right there after 18 years, even though it's like, dude, I don't want to be there. And not from that standpoint, from the standpoint of like there's things I do she doesn't like at all. She doesn't fucking like hiking up fucking mountains or going camping when it's cold. Fuck that. And I don't like country dancing. I don't like country music. It's just like, it's so gross to me. And there's nothing wrong with obviously country music or whatever she wants to do with her life. There's obviously nothing wrong with camping or whatever the fuck I want to do with my life. We just don't want to be we don't want the same things. So, man, it's hard. It sucks. Forest fire never feels good. But I'm excited for both of us to come back stronger. And so that's kind of what this whole video is about, is just kind of an update. Like, I realize, I don't even know how long it's been that I haven't posted a podcast video. I haven't really engaged in social media. I mean, I've posted some things and then, like, I'll go back 2 days later and maybe like, or love something, the comments people leave. And, really good. I feel like a dickhead because I haven't really been engaged in social media much. I haven't been engaged in much. And I've just been kind of letting this forest fire burn through me, so to speak. It's been helpful. It has hurt. Both of us have shed a lot of alligator tears, as we call them, with our kids, which means they're real. If they're alligator tears, they're fucking real. So, both been shedding alligator tears. Trying to do the best we can for the kids. Trying to do the best we can for each other. Most importantly, doing the best we can for ourselves. Because that's all you can do. But the better part of that is, what people don't realize is that's the best thing you can do. Okay? Be selfish. And not in the sense that, not in the sense that you should take more than you need, or you should be greedy or kind of give way into, disadvantaging others to make yourself better. That's not what I mean by be selfish. What I mean by be selfish is take care of yourself first, always, in the sense that you got to make sure you're healthy. You got to make sure you're healthy because, man, it's almost a year later, and Sean Whalen, he's a lot of things. But he runs the Lions Not Sheep Den, which is where I got my cool hat. And it was around a year ago that, many of you who have not known me, like I was not in even good shape at all about a year ago. But I was on a call and he said, he asked a question. He had posted these pictures like, I used to think this guy was a fucking dickhead too. Of course, you got to get through his, rough edges, so to speak, to really hear his message. But I heard his message. It was about last September sometime. Started following him. And then around November, December, I don't even remember when, I joined his coaching group. And one of the first calls I was on, he had just posted pictures on Instagram. Dude is jacked. He was in a thong, I want to say, and he was wearing a horse head. And of course, all the haters come out. Oh my God, fucking, I don't know what they say. I don't know. Haters say what haters say. And we get on this coaching call, and it was a power call, which has to do with, your body. And I'm like sitting there, eating Doritos. I mean, I haven't come that far, but I'm getting there. I was sitting there, eating Doritos, drinking soda. And anyway, he said, but I had like no muscle mass at all. And he was talking about all these haters. And he said, look, obviously everyone wants to look good naked, right? Everyone wants to look good naked. But he said, I want to ask you a question, and that's, if you and your family are at a beach, you and your loved ones, you and your friends, let's say something happens and you got to defend yourself or you got to defend your loved ones. Could you? Could you do it? And that really, like, I actually sat there and thought about that because, sure, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I've got this all, rah, I could do anything. But the reality was, as I'm looking at myself, I had no muscle. I was not in any good shape. I smoked fucking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. There's no way I was helping anyone. And so that's where things changed for me. Like, that was the day. I remember very much so. I remember when that switch changed. That was the day that I got it. I was like, dude, threw the Doritos away. I don't drink soda much at all anymore. And I don't eat like trash anymore. And I work out every day. But it was that mindset change. And now because of that mindset change, right? Like, I make sure I take care of myself first. Every day, I spend time on my body. I spend time on my body and my mind. Now, that may be selfish, but now I'm much, much, much stronger. I am much faster. I am much more capable of helping others. My mind is more sound. When people call me and ask for help, I can give it to them. So, that's an update. I apologize for going dark for so long. But, the forest fire had to burn away some of my old ego. So anyway, more to come. Hit that like and subscribe. I don't even know what the fuck this is going to be posted on. So if you're listening to this, thanks for following me however you found this. And more to come. Stay tuned. Love y'all.